That's great. That's great.
Hey everybody, what's going on? This is episode 5 of the Tell Me Something Great podcast. Thank you for tuning in. How's it going? Did you guys like the last episode with Travis Orban? As I mentioned, I had to do it twice because I had some horrific technical difficulties, but Travis is amazing and he is patient and he has always been super cool with me and he's a machine. I mean, every time I go online, he is working. He's just an inspiration to me. I'm always a big fan of what Travis does with the bands that he's in and his solo work. I hope you guys got a kick out of that interview. It was a lot of fun to do. Hopefully that won't be the last that we hear of Travis Orban. But how are you guys doing today? What is going on? Tell me something great. Let me start today's episode with telling you guys something great. I started to get back on the horse this week, and I'm tired. It's 8:09 a.m. and I'm already tired, but that's okay. As I mentioned, I'm like 20 pounds overweight right now, and I've had a bunch of injuries, but I'm slowly getting back on the horse, and I'm getting the itch to work out again. I actually want to work out more than my body will allow me to, but I'm taking it slow, going one day at a time, just doing basic calisthenics right now. Eventually I will hopefully move back to weights soon, but one day at a time, my friends, one day at a time. This whole week has been insane for me because it's been back-to-back podcasts, back-to-back workout schedules. I started rehearsing again, which was very interesting. So I haven't rehearsed in a while for a number of reasons, and I thought that getting back to rehearsals would be kind of tough, but it is. It's going to take a while to get all lubed up and ready to go. But first rehearsal back was really good. I recently picked up a TC Electronics or TC Helion or Helicon or I have no idea. Is it really TC Helicon? I thought it was TC Electronics. I don't know. The Mic Mechanic 2 pedal. Is it the second one? It is the second one. Yeah, so I've been using this Mic Mechanic 2, and it's a pretty cool vocal pedal. It's got like reverb and echo and a few other things built into it. It also has like minor note correction. It's got built-in de-esser and compressor and a few other things, and I've been really enjoying that pedal. I was actually surprised on how well my voice sounded after not singing for a while, so I was really happy about that. I've got to rehearse, what's my schedule say? Tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Half of my set right now is getting the live set spruced up and ready to go. And then the other part of my set is rehearsing the music that I'm going to be taking to the studio soon, which brings me to our first topic of today, which is money sucks. I hate it. I come from the lower middle class. I've never had money my whole life. It's always something I need, as most people do. It's always something I'm searching after. And I picked the wrong career to have lack of funds. But as I mentioned to you guys in previous videos and podcasts, I'm planning on going to Lake Forest, Illinois to work with old Busty Dennett on some new material soon. And old Busty sent me a quote this week, and I pretty much crapped my pants because it was way more than I thought it would be, which is okay. I'm going to have to juggle a few things and figure out some stuff. And to my hardcore fans, all 6 of you guys, I hope you pick up some of these fundraiser packs I have online. But all jokes aside, this quote was more than I thought it would be. So it's hard for me to explain all this quickly. My next project, it's going to be less songs, but it's going to have a lot more to offer for you guys. And there's a lot of moving parts that I'm trying to work together to make this all happen. And this studio quote is so high that I do not know how I'm going to work this out in an affordable way for you guys. I've always prided myself on doing the due diligence and taking on the burden myself to invest in myself. I don't use third-party websites to make t-shirts and things like that. I invest into these items so that I can give you guys the best deal that I possibly can. I'm not a fan of musicians who sell a one-color t-shirt for $35. I've always made sure to sell t-shirts for less than $15. Always sold everything at a really affordable price, and I think a good deal for the people who support me. But as I'm looking right now at the music side, the merchandising side, really those two, but a few other things too, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place to be able to give you guys an affordable product that's worthwhile, you know? And I think it is. I think the merchandise is going to be great. I've already seen a lot of prototypes, and I'm really excited. And the music so far is shaping up really well. I'm really excited about the songs, and I think you guys will like it. But if the price doesn't work out well, it's going to be a challenge because I'm a very small fish in a very big sea. I have a very small fan base, and I don't want to take advantage of their generosity. So I need to really crunch the numbers and make sure this works out as well as it can. And I should mention that the quote is very reasonable for everything that we're trying to do. I was just a little bit naive in thinking that the total wouldn't be that high. So, like I said, I got to kind of juggle a few things, and I think it's doable, and I think it's definitely worth the money. It's just it was a little bit of a shocker. Music is a money game. It's a Ponzi scheme, just like every other industry in this world. And there's ways to do it to cut corners. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. Even before my back was an issue and my arm was an issue, being my own engineer and producer for even acoustic-based music is very difficult for me to do. This is where working with somebody like Dustin is priceless. Not only can I rely on him to do everything up to a certain standard, but he comes in with ideas that are well worth the price tag. The rapport that we have it's surprising that it's so good, but it's a testament to how patient he is and how nice of a guy he is. And again, the price quote is well worth it. I just don't have much money, and I'm trying to do a lot with what I have, which is a little. Plus, I do better when I can sponge with people that I work well with. And this is one reason why I desperately want to go work with Bustin, whatever we're calling him in this podcast. Old Busty done it. Not being able to work independently for everything causes huge hurdles because I need to be able to have the funds to be able to employ people to help. And in some ways, I know it's possible for me to do it all by myself, but I would really take a hit in production, and it would take probably twice as long to release music, and I already release music in a very slow pace. Part of that's by design. Most recently, part of that is because of my health conditions. But I digress. You know, I sound like I'm just complaining. I'm super lucky to be able to be doing this right now. And despite the lack of funds that I need, that has nothing to do with Dustin's quote. Dustin's quote is actually really generous for the amount of work that I'm asking him to do. the reality of it is that I'm just a small fish, and I only have so much to kind of to use money wise, and I just have to be really smart about my investments. And luckily, Dustin is giving me a quote that will help me. I just need to be able to do everything I need to do. This isn't a problem. This is a luxury, and I understand that. It's just it's I'm blessed to be able to do this, but it's still a challenge at sometimes. Money sucks, and I'm doing my best to raise all the funds that I can. I'm actually selling my Dexter's Laboratory collection. I think I have one of the biggest Dexter's Laboratory collections in the States. It's 100+ items and everything from promo shots to toys to apparel to all kinds of crap. And it's a really awesome collection, but I need the funds right now. And even though I'm a big fan, I have to imagine that there is a bigger fan out there that would appreciate this more than I have been. So if you're a Dexter's Laboratory fan and somehow you're listening to this, hit me up. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It's a silly cartoon that was on Cartoon Network back in the day. I'm more of a fan of Dial M for Monkey, but that's just me. Hopefully one of you 6 guys will know what I'm talking about. Something else great. I've been gardening, but I do not have a green thumb, and I am killing stuff left and right. And I don't know if any of you guys work out in the garden, but if you do, I could use some tips. And I should let you guys know, I live in California where it's, 190 degrees every day. So the sun here has just been killing almost everything that I put out. Yeah, I got some onions growing right now, which is kind of nice. Got some tomatoes growing. I've got some spider mites on some plants of mine, which kind of stink. But my old buddy Thomas, who is a mega fan of the music and has been for years, he's been helping me with some tips via text message, and they've been helping a lot. I've got a lot to learn, but I find it to be very therapeutic. It's pretty enjoyable. It's just nice to get out. As many of you know, I'm kind of stuck in this house here, so it's nice to get out and do something different and put your hands in the soil. Speaking of out of shape, I mowed the lawn yesterday. I almost died of dehydration. I've got to mow the front lawn after I finish this podcast today. So throughout the interviews that I'm doing, I'm asking a lot of the same questions to people because I think it's good to get multiple people's perspective on a few different topics. And I think that it not only helps myself, but I think for other people, especially creative people, it helps to kind of wrap your mind around how other creative people deal with this industry. One question that I've been asking people, and I'll continue to ask them as the season 1 continues, is what does success mean to you? I thought I would turn the tables this episode and ask myself that question because it's only fitting to put myself through the grinder as I'm putting everyone else through it. And success to me is something that I achieved a very long time ago, and I'm happy to say that. And everything I'm doing now, small fish or not, is just icing on the cake. And I'm really blessed and happy to say that I can still do this. My birthday is tomorrow, on Friday the 13th. Crazy. I'm turning 36. 10 years ago to the day I chose to do this full time, and somehow I'm still doing it to this day, which is crazy. I have felt like a failure in most of my life, a burden, and just a problem in many ways. And I never felt successful. I always felt like I was 2 steps behind. As a recovering drug addict, I think that, plus many other things, brought me to a level of sadness and self-destruction that I couldn't cope with it. But, I've said this before, and I think it's the best way to encapsulate my mindset. I want to do good. I want to help people. I want to be good. I want to I want to not be a fixture in people's lives, but I want to be a ray of sunshine. I want to be good. And for a long time, I wasn't. I wasn't good to people. I wasn't good to myself. And when I put out music at 26, I kind of shed my skin, for lack of a better way of putting it. Though some of these characteristics are still with me, I dropped a lot of these things, and I started to rebuild myself as a person. And I knew that I would never be a lawyer. I would never be a doctor. I'd never had the money, the help, the intellect to be able to have a career that will impact people's life like those careers. And I admire those careers, along with many other ones that do good in this world and do good for people. And I knew that would never be me. And when I started writing this music, it was difficult for me because it was as honest as I possibly could be. And my hope at the time was hoping that my pathetic existence would help somebody out there, as well as just help me work through it. Use music as a medium to kind of get some of these things out. And my naive thinking was that maybe somebody could get something out of this. Not like, I'm going to change the world with my experiences, or I have some grand story to tell. It's like, no. I have some things to say, and I think that they're relatable because some of the topics that I'm talking about are timeless. They're important questions. And when I was writing this music, I thought, again, naively, maybe somebody else could benefit from this. And when I put out the music, the response that I got from people from the first CD was unreal. It's still really hard for me to wrap my head around now, because not only was I able to reach people all over the globe, but that level of wanting to impact people's life, and how naive it was, I not only was able to do that, but still to this day, I'm still doing good for some of these people. And we have found ways to relate and found ways to connect, and that is success to me. I feel like my little existence is able to help someone through something, even if that's just relating for 5 seconds. But I'm still not a doctor and still not a lawyer, but that's helping people more than working in a factory. The response that I've gotten from them is unreal. Like I said, everything after that has been just icing on the cake. I don't do this to try to, it's my own fault for mixing commerce and art, but I don't do this in the hopes of gaining some national fame or making a whole bunch of money. That's not the point of all this. If the point of it was making money, I wouldn't be doing this. I definitely wouldn't be writing the music that I do. I'd be doing movie placement music and trying to work with pop artists and working sound and doing other stuff that has consistent work. That's not why I do this. I do this for the few people who can relate. I do this for myself. I do this because I feel successful when I'm doing it. My hardcore my hardcore fan base of 6 people have gotten something out of this, and I get something from them too. And that gives me a level of fulfillment and a level of success that no paycheck can ever relate to. And I'm happy to say I've gotten some sizable ones, and they don't do the same. Earlier in the episode, I mentioned an old friend, Thomas. Thomas is a fan of mine who lives out in Maine. And when I put out The Jig Is Up, the first CD. He found it at that time on MySpace, I think. And he went on his own dollar and printed me up a whole bunch of koozies, which those are long gone. I actually just found one and threw it into one of those fundraiser bundles. But he went on his own dime and printed them and called me up and was like, listen, I feel with what you're doing. I think what you're doing is great. I see that you need help. I want to help. And this was somebody I didn't know. And almost 10 years later, still talking to the guy. I was just blown away by the connection. I was blown away by his support. I actually based a small East Coast tour around going to his house and thanking him, because it was one of the first times that somebody went above and beyond to try to help. It was just one of so many examples that just it's so hard to describe how successful I do feel because of these little actions that have transpired out of just a handful of songs, you know? And it's remarkable. It's remarkable that these little juvenile songs did something for him, you know? That they're doing something for people. That connection is fucking beautiful. And like I said, you know, what does success mean to me? It's being able to affect people in a positive way. I mean, affecting them in any way is a good way. I think getting people to think, feel, obviously not hurting them, but, you know, affecting them in a good way, giving them something to think about, challenging them, that's success to me. And when it comes back and they hear me, that's when we make a lot of, that's when the magic happens, you know? You know, I've said this before, I don't claim to be an entertainer, but if you find what I'm doing entertaining, we're going to have a lot of fun. And when that happens, I feel successful. I feel very successful. I have to work on music today, and I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I am feeling burned out this week. And I know I'm keeping it hush-hush, but every episode we're gonna get a little bit more in depth. Today we're talking about the studio and the woes of money. The more that we progress, I'm going to be telling you guys more about what I'm doing, so you stay tuned. We've got a good amount of solo episodes left in podcast number 1, so there's no reason to jump the gun. I can give you guys some more teasers, you know what I'm saying? And the biggest teaser is that I am going into debt to go into a studio, and this music's going to probably sound better than anything I've released before. So that's going to be cool. I'm thrilled to be doing this podcast. I can't say that enough. It has been actually a lot of fun working behind the scenes and setting things up and doing stuff. It's been also a lot of fun getting questions from you guys and getting emails and having these solo episodes be interactive. I'm really glad that this is working out and that all 6 of you are really enjoying this. As always, keep the questions coming. Let me know what you think of the episodes. I'm loving all these interviews so far. Next week's episode holds a real special place in my heart because next week I'm going to be sitting down and talking to David Tuber, who is a huge part of a show called Moral Oral, which is a television show that I am obsessed with and collect. I met up with Dave around the same time I met up with Tom in Burbank. If you want to listen to the Tom interview, there will be some icon on the screen right now. That's episode 2. Me and Dave met up for a few different reasons, as you guys will see in the interview. I was really, really nervous because David isn't just somebody who worked behind the scenes at Moral Oral. He was a director of many of the significant episodes of that show. And I was really nervous because there's something about that show, as silly as it sounds, there's something about that show that resonates with me. And I don't know if I have I know I don't have a soft spot for Dino, the show's creator, because I like a lot of his work. I'm a fan of the Ben Stiller Show, Dana Carvey, Mr. Show, parts of Community, and some of his other work I definitely enjoy, but Dino's an interesting character, and that's a whole other story within itself. But David's role on the show, it wasn't just behind the scenes. It was a pivotal role in what made Moral Oral great. And I don't know if it's over time, I've speculated and assumed that I see myself very much in the character of Oral. And I also have a soft spot for domestic abuse, alcoholism, and Christianity. And those are some huge topics in the show. Sitting down with David was an absolute delight, and learning a lot about his past, I could tell that he also very much related with the character of Oral, as many fans do. And it was an absolute pleasure and honor to sit down with him and talk shop about one of my favorite shows ever. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this interview. So please don't miss next week's interview. It's going to be huge. And we also, there's also some surprises in the next interview too that I don't want to give away. So any of you hardcore Moral Oral fans out there, if you're listening, you do not want to miss this one. It's going to be awesome. For those that don't know, Moral Oral is a kind of a silly, funny, campy show that kind of pokes fun at Christianity through the eyes of an innocent child named Oral Puppington. He gets into all kinds of mischief. But what I'm describing is more of the first season. As the show progresses, it takes a dramatic twist and becomes very intense. For a lot of people, Moral Oral is on their top 5 favorite Adult Swim shows of all time. It was short-lived. It got the cut. But unlike many shows, they knew that it was happening, and they were able to work with it. And I think that even though the show was cut short, it still is very much worth the time. It is a very, very decent show, if not one of the best, better, greatest shows on Adult Swim. It's amazing. I could talk about it forever, but tune in next week, guys. It's going to be awesome. So I woke up today at like 6:30, and I'm starting to work out in the mornings. So I've already been up for a few hours. Ate food, worked out, tried to work on some stuff on the computer, and then instantly just came in here to the podcast and started checking my phone. As soon as I get done with this, I got to go mow the lawn and then maybe work on music. I might work out again today. I don't know. I got to do a stretch session midday. For those that don't know, I work with a company called Align Med. They endorse me, and I use a bunch of their products. I use one of their shirts called the Posture Shirt 2.0, and then I wear this massive vest called their Spinal Q vest. And recently they made leggings, and I've gone through a whole bunch of different like muscle spasms due to this back problem and due to working out constantly, and so I thought the leggings would be a good idea. And let's just say I look hilarious in a pair of like tight-fitting yoga pants. My body is really uncomfortable right now because I'm like 20 pounds overweight, and I'm wearing like this like human condom over my body. So it's really interesting, but it is really awesome, and I actually feel really good. Really, really good wearing this stuff recently. I'm just excited to get back to it, slowly moving. Oh, that's something I should talk about. An update on my hand. My hand is doing well. The knuckle is still impacted, but my hand's working good. I'm using it. I'm playing guitar. I'm getting some weird stiffness in my hand, though. When I was mowing the lawn yesterday, I almost felt some numbness in my hand. And I don't know if that's just because I was constantly gripping. It's going to have some serious recovery time. The guy said it could take a few months, if not up to a year, to like fully recover. But I'm feeling better every day. I'm doing stretches. I'm getting pops out of the knuckle. I'm able to put weight on it. I'm not punching anything, not even like, punching my hand together like this. That was with the opposite hand. I'm not doing that or anything crazy. It seems to be doing okay. I'm actually very happy with its progress so far. I think going super slow and just doing my best to not overwork myself is obviously key. So I just got to keep going slow one day at a time. I think things will be okay. I need to go back and listen to the other solo podcast. Since I haven't been writing a script and I've been talking off the top of my head, I sometimes have a good memory and sometimes have a really bad memory, and I don't want to be repeating myself in these episodes, so I gotta go back and take some notes and make sure that I'm not repeating myself. What else? Oh, I updated the fundraiser packs that I'm doing. I cut shipping cost on them, and I cut down a couple items so they're a little bit more affordable. So if you head over to the Big Cartel page, justinyates.bigcartel.com, they're a little bit more affordable. Hopefully you guys will pick them up. Help me with this fundraising challenge that I've made for myself right now. I had the opportunity this week to do 2 podcasts that'll be probably the last 2 podcasts of this season with 2 childhood idols of mine. One of them is a voice actor, which I was really, really nervous to do. I don't know why. I'll give you a hint. It was a female, so that might have had something to do with it. Most of the people that I'm talking to have been men. So talking to a female is a little bit of a different dynamic. But the other one was a musician who I've been a fan of since I was, 14 years old. And he was really cool. He spent a lot of time talking. I don't think it'll be our last time talking too, which is blowing my mind. I actually can't believe I was able to sit down with him and talk to him. But that's all I'm telling you. That's the only hint you get. But it was exciting. It was kind of surreal, actually. And it felt good to get some positive feedback from somebody that I really, really respect. After we finished the podcast, he, gave me a couple compliments, and it was reassuring. Maybe that's not the right word. It was gratifying. It was awesome. I don't know. I'm a really small fish in a big, big sea, and sometimes I just feel like I'm spinning my wheels. And as much as I've been able to accomplish as far as the music has gone, I still sometimes feel like, what am I doing? Am I ever going to get past this hurdle? What, why am I still doing this? Why do I do this? It's always a constant question. And when someone you respect takes a second to just sit back and be like, hey, whatever you're doing, you're good at it. It's a great feeling. And it was something that I really, really needed to hear. And it was awesome. Which I guess, why don't we ask myself, let's turn the tables again. And let me ask myself a question that I've been asking other people, and that is, why do I do this? Some of the people I've been interviewing are a little bit older, and, they say that some of these industries are for younger people, a little bit more spry. So for people that are older, it's a little bit more difficult, and it raises the question, why do you do this? Why do you keep doing this? Even if they're not older, living a creative-based life is very difficult, so asking people, why do you do this? Everyone's going to have their own individual answer, and it's always interesting. And, when I think about it myself, why do I do this? The things that I do now, the response that I've gotten from them, small or not, is unlike anything I've ever experienced in life before. And that feeling is indescribable. It's amazing. And that's why I do this. To not only feel, but to feel that back from people, that connection. This is how I connect with people. And I've had a lot of trouble connecting with people in my past, and I think this art is the best way for me to communicate. And some people still don't get it, and it's hard for them to understand, and other people very much get it. But I do this because This is what I excel at the best, even at my worst moments. I do this because it's more constructive than things I've done in the past. I do this because it saved my life. I do this because it gives me drive and purpose. I do this because as hard as it is and how much I struggle from the creative side to the marketing side to the financial side, I'd still rather do this no matter what. This is just what I do. It's what I've always wanted to do. I have always been infatuated with music and art to some degree. I knew this is what I would do when I was older. It's what I did all throughout my childhood, and it's what I'll do probably until I die, to the point that it gets just sad and pathetic. I love working with other people with music. I love getting their ideas out there, sponging with them, helping them. I love analyzing music. I just love all of it. Music very much to me is a drug, and being a drug addict, it's one of the healthiest drugs. You know, my mom said to me one time, and me and my mom's relationship is rather complicated, but she said to me one time, you know, music stole my son. And I remember saying to her, like, you know, I think this is an example of how far away from each other we are, because music didn't steal me. Music saved my life. This drug was something that I got addicted to a long time ago, and this drug has only helped people. It's only helped me. It's only helped me grow. It's put food in my stomach. It's helped me progress mentally, physically. It's helped me progress financially. It's helped me progress with people. It's just everything about it is positive. Even in the bad times, it's positive. And I could tell you that other drugs I've been addicted to and obsessed with have not been like that. Other wants, from wants of the ego to wants of money to just insignificant things. Those obsessions are fleeting. Just as much as other obsessions are fleeting. And this one is the gift that just keeps on giving. And I focused very heavily on this instead of some of my other obsessions. And those choices saved my life. And music didn't steal me. I became it. And that's why I do this, because this is me now. This is the music that I write. Isn't just like, I don't write music. Like, anything I do is an extension of myself. I've gotten to this other level with music where intellectually it's just so massive and big that it's not just a thing anymore. It's me. I am a part of it. Why do I do this? Because I wouldn't do anything else. Why do I do this? Because I can't do anything else. Why do I do this? Because I think that's why I'm here. Or maybe I'm just a failure at everything, and this is the only thing that's actually cathartic enough and just gives me enough food in my belly that I'm okay with that. And I'm not hurting people. I'm not stealing for a meal. I'm not stealing for drugs. I'm not hurting people. All right, I gotta stop and get a cup of coffee really quick. It's officially 9 a.m., so I can finally have my one cup of coffee for the day. Actually, no, I might be doing two. Ever since this kidney stone thing and going to the hospital, I've had to like redo my entire diet, and it stinks. I have to like lay off proteins and not have like salads, so I'm like eating carbs and still holding on to weight. It kind of sucks. I have to like, I'm either going to have to go see a nutritionist or something. So this is funny. So for those that don't know, I actually worked at Dustin Bennett's studio in Lake Forest for quite some time before I moved to California. And we worked on a ton of fun projects together. At the time, Dustin had this old Corolla. He still owns it. I think it's a Corolla, or it's like a Toyota Avalon or something. But even 5 years ago, the car was on its last leg, and he messages me recently, and he's like, I'm finally buying a new car. And I was like, dude, good for you. And then like 2 days before he sends me this giant quote, he's like, So I'm going to get the cheapest Tesla out there because, I think that they're, great cars and they're great for the environment and a whole bunch of other reasons. And I agree with them. I think they're crazy cars. I'm not really a car guy, but I think everyone can sit back and say that Teslas are pretty crazy. Ever since he sent me that quote, I've been trying to do the math and I haven't hit him back yet, which is really odd for me because I'm usually really quick to respond and I'm a professional like that. There's just so many moving parts here that I've had to put the quote to the side. I've just got so much going on this week that it's hard to do all that math. And every message I send him is just trust me, I'll get in touch with you soon. You'll have your down payment for your Tesla soon. Man, if you would just buy a Ford Focus, you wouldn't have to quote me so much. But apparently, I have to pay your first down payment for a Tesla, apparently. Well, look at these freaking recording producers, man. They just want the world from you. They try to take. And they're like, oh, well, I'll make you some music in return. I'll help you record. It's dude, you'll help me record? See, that's where this industry's got it backwards. They're all we'll make you a star. It's no, I'm bringing you music, great music, and that music's going to be in your portfolio. So you know what? I'm going to make you a star, buddy. My music's going to make you a star so you can buy that Tesla. See, that's the secret of the industry, is not to be conceited, but to at least have enough confidence and then just joke around about it all, because you're just masking the fact that you have no confidence at all and that at any point in time you're just going to buckle down in fear because all of this is a charade and every single one of us are lost flying in space on this water marble while we pretend that all of this stuff matters and it really doesn't matter at all. So again, I'm not paying your Tesla down payment, Dustin. I'm not doing it. Let's make music for fun on this planet before we fucking die. And I mean, do I really need to say anything else about this? Is anybody still listening? Hey, I want to give a shout out to the fine people at Elixir Guitar Strings because they sent me some guitar strings recently, and this company is just the best. I love Elixir Guitar Strings, and this is by no way a paid ad or anything like that. I'm endorsed by the company, which is much, much different than being sponsored by the company, let me tell you. But I am happy as hell to say I'm endorsed by this company. I've played these strings for over 10 years, well over 10 years now, and they're the best strings on the planet. And they just set me up with a bunch of strings for this next project I'm doing, and couldn't be happier. Love those guys. Thanks, guys. You are the best. So this week, though, I've been doing a bunch of stuff and super busy. It's been pretty kind of boring just because it's the same grind, getting onto that same schedule that I used to be on. And it's a grind, but I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to lose a couple pounds. I'm excited to get rehearsals back up in order. I'm really excited to get into the studio. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got a lot of work staring me directly in the face right now, but that's okay. I like a good challenge. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy what I'm working on. I got a bunch of questions from the internet this week, which is really cool. Give me a second because I need to track them all down really quick. The email, once again, is thetellmesomething.great@gmail.com. Feel free to send over whatever you want. You got a problem? You got a suggestion? Got some advice? Got a question for me? Whatever it is, send it on by. Like I said, I want these solo episodes to be as interactive as I can. So for you 6 listeners, go right ahead and send those questions over because I can't wait to answer them. First one comes from winflow_2 on Instagram, and he says, your favorite comedian or comedians or podcast. I'm really enjoying Bad Friends lately. I think that's really silly. One of my favorite podcasts is probably Topics with Michael Ian Black and Michael Showalter. That's just absolutely hilarious. But I listen to the Monday Morning Podcast with Bill Burr. You know, back in the day, I used to listen to a lot more podcasts, a lot more comedy podcasts, and probably more comedy podcasts and more like streams of consciousness, just people talking shop. But it's gotten limited because my time is short. Favorite comedians, you know, I have a lot of them. I like a lot of the bigger names, like most people do, from Hicks to Carlin to Pryor to modern day comedians like Chappelle and Bill Burr. I like a lot of comedians. I've been enjoying this new Bo Burnham special, which I'm not a giant fan of his. Not that I don't like what I've seen. I've never picked up an album or watched any of the specials, but I did enjoy that new one. You know, there's a lot of comedians I like, a lot of comedians I don't like. I have a really soft spot in my heart for Joey Diaz. The Church of What's Happening Now, which was his podcast, it's got its ups and downs, but I think that podcast has some really amazing moments. I know a lot of people give Joey Diaz a lot of crap. Some people don't think he's that funny at all. Some people think he's doesn't deserve the time. And honestly, I think I know where he's coming from. I've seen a couple of his specials. The specials he did with Ari Shaffir were amazing, about Zariah and his mom's best friend. And a few of those stories are they're phenomenal. And it shows where his heart is. And I feel for that. I feel for the person who's struggling for a second chance. So yeah, I definitely have a soft spot for him. I haven't been listening to his new podcast that much just because I've been super busy, but I'm really glad to see that he's doing well ever since he moved back to New Jersey. I actually saw a picture of him lately and he looks great. Okay, next question comes from, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, La_Mesa_Phantasma on Instagram says, most valuable thing you got from a trade. You know, man, tune in to next week's interview with David Tuber. I think after you watch that episode, I think you'll know the answer to that question. There are a lot of items here that I think are valuable money-wise, sentimental value-wise. But yeah, just watch the David Tuber episode. That'll be that answer. C. Craigsby on Instagram asks, ever come across any Aisha Clan shirts? I'd definitely buy one. Aisha Clan is a character from Outlaw Star. Yes, I have. I guess it would be considered a bootleg. A company in the mid-90s did a licensing run for Outlaw Star, and one of the shirts was just a plain black shirt. It says Outlaw Star, the logo in white on the front. And then on the back, there's a line art white print drawing of Aisha giving the thumbs up in a square box. Take a look at the screen really quick. Here's a picture of it. But then there is this shirt, which floats around online for around $300 to $400. It's a Screen Stars shirt. This actually has 2 shots of Aisha on it, which is really weird. I've heard people say that this is a bootleg as well as it is legitimate. I honestly don't know. There are some links online that credit it being legitimate, but I have never seen any kind of promotional ad for it in any of the Outlaw Stars stuff. I've never seen anything to support it other than the internet supporting it. So last year, Hot Topic made 2 shirts. They're female shirts. Both of them have Aisha on it. Take a look at the screen. I should be able to show you a picture of that. And then a couple months ago, another company released about 10 different Outlaw Star shirt designs. I'm not going to mention their name, and I'll explain why, but Google Outlaw Star shirts 2021 and they'll pop up. I actually bought one of the shirts off of this site, and the quality of the shirt as well as the logo placement and the quality of the print was garbage. So I don't even want to mention who they were, but there are some Aisha shirts out there. You just got to look around. Hit me up on Instagram and we can definitely find you one. Shindig3030 on Instagram says, should we legalize ranch? That's an Eric Andre quote. Yeah, legalize ranch. Any Eric Andre fans here? Space Ghost Coast to Coast is a huge love of mine, and the Eric Andre show has kind of a level of obscurity that the Space Ghost talk show has as well. So I always enjoyed a lot of the earlier Eric Andre shows. I actually have a very, very small Eric Andre collection take a look at the screen right now. You can see a couple of the gems that are in that collection. Thanks for the question, man. S. Malik on Facebook asks, what would be your best relationship advice if someone is single and looking? That's a super complex question, but thank you for sending it. I'm actually really glad that this is like the first relationship-based question that I've been sent. So I'm excited about this one. There's a lot of factors that go into that because who you are, what you do, and what type of characteristics you're looking for in a person matter a lot. Because some people will tell you, depending on your age, go to a bar, or go out, and meet someone. But if those aren't, things that you enjoy and you don't enjoy people who like recreationally drink or, who go out in that kind of capacity, that's not a good place to go look. Some people say internet dating is great, but then again, if you're a person who has a hard time expressing yourself like I do with written expression, talking in person and face to face is 1,000 times better. So you trying to go on some dating site with a bunch of random people who are trying to hook up is definitely not going to be good. What I would say is be open and honest. Remember that any relationship worth a damn is going to be built on the fundamental blocks of proper communication, compromise, and trust. I say try to get out there and try to go to some places that aren't a bar. You know what I mean? Whether that's going out to, your mall or a local farmer's market, striking a conversation with somebody in a purely non-aggressive but friendly way is always nice. Giving someone a compliment is always a nice thing to start a nice conversation. I would say when you're single and looking, you tend to be more proactive instead of reactive. And I would say, remember that these things are very big. Relationships are huge. So take your time. You can be out and looking, but remember, you don't have to be hunting. These things will come to you. When you get that impression, capitalize on it. Say hi to somebody. Don't be afraid to give someone your number, and strike up a conversation. I hope that helps. Feel free to write back and give me a little bit more background about maybe what you're looking for, or, maybe a little bit more about you. And maybe we can specifically give you some tips on where to look or what to do. And if you end up actually finding a relationship, let me know if any of this is helpful, or let me know how that's going for you. We got another question here from winflow_2 on Instagram. He asks, the best concert you've ever been to? That is really difficult to answer because I've not only been to so many, main stage shows, to local shows, to putting on shows, to performing at shows. There's just so many good memories. And even if I limit it down to, the best concert that I've ever been to, that's difficult too. It's very difficult for so many reasons, but I don't want to give you some bullshit answer like that. Two of them that come to mind that I always hold fond memories of is, hold on, I have the ticket stub up on the wall. Can I see it from here? Which one is it? In 2005, I went with a friend at the time named Mike. Mike, if for some reason you're listening to this, I miss you very much, man. My phone number is the same and will always be the same for reasons like this. If you're listening to this, give me a call, buddy. In 2005, I was really into Slipknot, and me and Mike went to Allstate Arena in Chicago to go see Slipknot, Shadows Fall, and Gojira. I'm pretty sure that was the lineup. It was for the Subliminal Verses tour. So it was at that point I've already seen Slipknot a whole bunch. But this was like one of their arena tours. They weren't playing a full arena, so it was like basically a third of it was taped off, and they had all their big toys out on this. Joey had his rig. They had 3 teleprompters. The percussionists had all of their floating rigs. So it was the biggest Slipknot show I've ever been to as far as production wise. But this show always stands out to me. It was always a lot of fun because it was not only a huge show, it was just a lot of fun. But we brought my little brother along, and at that time he was maybe 13. I remember it vividly because there was a woman in the crowd who had a boob job who ended up flashing the crowd. And I remember the smile on my brother's face when that happened. And that was, still remember it to this day. It was great. But it was cool because it was a good memory to share with my friend Mike, but it was also really cool to be able to bring my brother along. And at that time, my brother was just starting to get into music and was playing music with bands. He actually might have been a little bit older than 13 now that I think about it. I'm not doing the math. Fuck it. But yeah, that was a really good show for a lot of reasons. I hold that memory fondly. Love you, little brother. But another one that I hold closely is that same year I went to Ozfest 2005. And that year, the lineup was insane. I'm pretty sure I can still remember it all to this day. But some of the biggest heavy hitters were Black Dahlia Murder, Soilwork, Arch Enemy, Trivium, Shadows Fall, In Flames. Those are some of the bigger names that I was going to see. But there was a ton of bands. You know, look at the screen right now. I'll throw up a lineup from the 2005 tour. But what was cool about that show is, at that time, I knew that music was a part of my life, and I knew that it was something that I very, very much enjoyed. But after that day, I knew that my connection with music was much different than everyone else around me, even the musicians around me, much, much different. I remember going there. I was there at like 6 a.m. I showed up by myself because no one else would come with. And I was one of the first of 30 people in line. You know, I saw Black Dahlia Murder at like 9 a.m., right when they woke up. I was like right front row, fell in love with their band, never heard them before. And they're just like, hey, we got the worst spot on this tour. We don't give a fuck. Let's go. And just went crazy. It was amazing. I met Will Smith that day because his wife's band was playing. That was horrible. Long story long, I went early because none of my friends would. And my friends ended up coming later, either drunk or getting messed up. And I found that it was like an inconvenience for them to get their money's worth in the ticket. And they were there to hang out and to party. And I was there to go to a show and to learn and to enjoy myself and to see a lot of bands that I really enjoyed, specifically In Flames and Soilwork at that time. I was just thrilled. Yeah, Kill Switch was on that show. Rob Zombie was on that show. A whole bunch of people. But the point being is that I spent about 7 hours there by myself before my friends actually showed up for the second band at the main stage. And at that, you know, the second stage was already done, and that was like 13 bands. I was there all day by myself, and it was amazing. It was an amazing time. And it meant a lot to me, and I was able to experience things, and I could just tell people about it, and I could see that they were interested, but I could tell that it was like they didn't want to come for a reason, and I was here for a reason. Also, and this is a crazy story, but I'll try to keep it short. So at that show, when I first got there, there was a dude there at like 6 a.m. in the morning who had a box of CDs. This guy had to be like in his mid-40s, and he had a CD, I still remember this name, of a band called Asphyxiated Dipsomaniacs. And it was awful music. But this guy was passing out the CDs because his son was in this band. And apparently his son died a year before. And this guy was crushed. And you could see it. And I saw this man as a man when the day began, and then crumbled into just a level of darkness I couldn't even like wrap my head around. He was there passing out CDs, talking to people, saying, you know, well, this is what my son would have done. He loved this type of music. He loved this community, and you know, he did it for years, and this is his CD, and you know, I'm just trying to get his name out there and get his music out there. And I was like, you know, from a person who's lost his father, I was like, man, that's beautiful, man. But then as the day progressed on, I just watched this guy get drunker, and just sadder. And his story became a lot longer. Every time he would tell it, he would go from group to people to group to people. At first it was, hey, this is my son's CD. He passed away a year ago. Yeah, he really loved the music. I hope you'll check it out. To full-blown just breaking down in front of people talking about this story. He got like so belligerently drunk that he ended up like getting in a fight and then getting like beat up by a bunch of people because he was just running his mouth. And I just remember watching this guy picking up like a box of CDs, crying, just being so lost. And I just remember really feeling for him. I still have that CD somewhere. And it was something crazy to see. But it made me see that like this music affects people in interesting ways. And some of the subject matter that they're talking about is very relatable. And this guy related to it a lot. And it was sad that other people just found him to be a burden instead of giving him like a shoulder to cry on. It's crazy. All right, next question. Anybody still listening? Oh, look at this. I got a question from old Thomas again. I asked Thomas to send me a question. I was like, hey man, you're not on social networking. Send him a text. I'm like, yeah, you don't use social networking, but just so you know, I put out a podcast. Feel free to send me any kind of question. I would love to have the Thomas on the show. And he writes back, have you always wanted to wax your ass hair, or is this a recent decision? And I'm just like, that's Thomas, everybody. I actually took a couple screenshots and tried to spin this into a tweet that I sent to Manscaped, trying to convince them to sponsor the show. Not that I don't think I would actually take it, but it was pretty funny. I'm not answering your question, Thomas. I would advise you to keep sending questions. And you're a goofball, and I love you. And as I mentioned recently, it's been too long since I've been to Maine. And once I get done with everything I'm working here, I'm coming back. I don't care if I'm broken or not. I don't care what capacity it's in. If I book shows, if I'm playing an open mic tour, if I'm just playing out of the back of my car, doesn't matter. Too many hurdles, too many roadblocks, too many excuses, too much time. So I'm definitely, I got to work on that. So I'll be back soon, buddy. Robot_Chipmunk on IG asks, what is the vault? He's referring to my collection. Every once in a while, I'll do some story sales on the collection page on Instagram. And if something doesn't sell, usually by the last post, I'll say, grab it now. Reasonable offers are welcome, or else it's going back into the vault. And that's pretty much, the collection here. Next question comes from an old pal of mine, Kyle, which he is NXT LVL, so that's next level _Kyle on IG. And he writes, in regards to Aquatine, what keywords do you use when searching for items on eBay? I asked him to be specific about a show, and he said just pick whatever. So I mentioned Aquatine, but honestly, it kind of goes with every show. You've got to be creative. And I'll give you a couple examples, but when you're searching for things online, whether it's on eBay or any other site in this country or not, you need to be familiar with translation. You need to be familiar with groupings of words, like looking for things in lots, maybe looking for, instead of searching the name, searching the person who manufactured it. Sometimes even searching for people who are in the show or related to the show, but not the show itself. Here's a funny one for you. I actually got, what is his name? Scott Adsit, I believe. Hold on a second. Scott Adsit. I'm going to spell it wrong because I can't spell. Yeah. He does the voice for Clay on Moral Oral, as well as he's one of the show creators. I got an autograph of him, and it's a shot of Clay in his den, and Scott signed it. Now, I was able to get this because, believe it or not, it was misspelled on eBay. Moral Oral is spelled MORAL, and then oral, OREL. And believe it or not, somebody listed it as moral oral, but they spelled moral with an E and oral with an A. And it sat up there for years because the person who listed it didn't know, and no one searched it in that way. And I was able to scoop it for like just like a couple dollars. So, man, there's all different types of little tricks and little things that you can do. Overseas, it's interesting because translations they're not always one for one. Sometimes you'll have some weird wording. So that can always be altered in many ways. Sometimes in other countries, they'll list stuff in English. If you search it under the Russian name or the Japanese name or whatever, certain items will come up. But if you're using a Russian site or a Japanese site and you search the English name, you'll actually see other items come up too. There are so many examples of these weird ways to search for things outside of just searching the regular name. So Kyle or anyone, if you are searching for something and you're really digging hard, contact me. Let me know what you're searching for, and I can help you pinpoint it more specifically so that hopefully we can search together and hopefully use some of these tools that I've learned to kind of, navigate and hopefully find some items that might be out there, but might be disguised. JLU_18 on Instagram asks, where's the metal? I addressed this before on a previous podcast, but I'll mention it again. It's here, man. I've got riffs. I've got ideas. It's just time. It's just time and demand. My 6 fans, they are hungry and they love what I'm doing, but I don't have a huge demand for metal. So it's there. It'll happen. It's just available time. And right now, I've got to see this plan that I've started for myself through. But I'm already thinking about what to do after that. The idea of doing metal, even if it's and I think I've said this before, like a 1-minute breakdown still seems very enticing. Yeah, it'll be something I'll revisit soon. Trust me. I don't want to go mow the lawn. Okay, we got another question here. Why did you choose a monkey as your mascot? Let's see if I can answer this quickly. When I was in 8th grade, I had a teacher that was amazing. And she had a little monkey on her desk, and I was a horrible kid. Horrible. I mean, they asked me to do a poetry notebook that year. I did. I got a great grade. Next thing I did, I found myself in the principal's office, and they're asking me, "Am I okay?" And I don't understand the difference. I just did the assignment, and they're like, "Well, your poem's called Burn, and it's got flames all over it. This is concerning." But in 8th grade, she was a great teacher. Her name was Miss Snowden, and she had a bunch of toys on her desk, including a monkey. And I always used to play with the monkey. And at the end of the year, she gave me that monkey. And I held on to it for years. It was in storage for a bit, and then it came out. And it kind of became like a little Easter egg, something that I would hang on to and would be in bands that I was in, just kind of like in the background. The first CD's concept for the photo shoot that we did for it was like a guy and a girl, very, I don't know, corny to say the least. But in the photo shoot, we took a bunch of pictures of the monkey. And at that time, I was working with a few people, and one of them saw the photos and saw the photo of the monkey and was like, if you don't use that as your CD cover, like, I don't know what would be a better CD cover. Like, that is you in so many ways. And over time, that monkey became me. I didn't have it all scarred up and burned up and tattered and torn when I got it. It's been through the ringer. It became something different over time. And that's very much a symbol for what I am. And I understood what he meant by that. And I thought it was amazing. And I've jumped into it, and the monkey has been incorporated in everything that I do and has become a mascot. It holds not only a visual representation to myself, but the idea of it conceptually is a friend. And it's a huge thing, not only to me, but I think to the people who understand where I'm coming from, because they have their own little friend too. Hope that makes sense. Next question comes from Hella_Cuddy on Instagram. He says, you should interview space ghosts. How wild would that be? That would be really weird. because most of these podcasts, I take a lot of things literally. I'm a pretty serious guy, but with an interview with Space Ghost, it would just be so bonkers. I'd probably show up in a police uniform just to get Moltor excited, hopefully so he can like mess with Space Ghost the entire interview. It's Not the Radio on Instagram says, what was your first item you collected? And I messaged him back. I was like, what do you mean? Like the first like baseball card I collected when I was 10, the first thing that I had a love for, the first item in this collection? I wasn't too sure. But if you reference back the update video before the first episode of Tell Me Something Great, I talk about the first item in the collection, which is the Black Box Outlaw Star DVD release. And that would be the first item in this collection. I can never pronounce this correct. Trippy_Kidda.wave on Instagram says, when's the next recording session for music? Well, that's the problem right now. I've got a cousin's wedding happening in October that I need to RSVP for in September. But I've got so much expenses going on and my body's not in the best like state that I don't know how I'm going to juggle all this. But I'm trying to work out when the recording session will be. To be 100% transparent, I want to lose a little bit of weight because I know we're going to do a little bit of video work. I need to get my body, meaning my hand and my voice, in the best state that it can be before going into the studio, which rehearsals have started, as I mentioned, so we're good. The ball is rolling. And I need to really get back, again, on the workout plan and be able to really get my core as tight as I can, because what I'm planning to do in the studio is going to be physically tasking, even if I'm cutting corners and I'm hiring somebody to help me. It's going to be difficult. So I don't know when the next recording session is, but I'm working that out now to make a realistic schedule, as well as we're kind of taking things a day at a time and playing by ear because it's all predicated on what's going on. There's no reason to rush this, and there's definitely no reason to rush it when the chance of me hurting myself is great. So we're not even messing around like that. But the wheels are moving. I'm talking daily, working out details. This project already has legs. There are things already moving. So this will happen. You can mark my words on that. It's just when, I don't know yet. Hopefully soon. Hopefully in the next couple months, I can get just good enough to be able to be like, fuck it, let's go. Mega fan Sarah on Facebook, she asked 2 questions here. Do you think you would still be making music if it wasn't for the hardships you had with the drugs and the relationships? Yeah, definitely. Because local music, and we're going to get to this in a future interview, but local music has been a part of my life before chaos and struggle were. Music has always been there in some fashion. I mean, there's stories of my sister coming home from piano lessons and playing the piano, and then me just walking right up and mirroring what she's playing at an extremely young age. I've always had a natural sense of rhythm. I've always had an ear to pick up on key. Definitely don't have perfect pitch. Yeah, it's always been there. I think my experience with drug use and my experience with relationships of all kinds, good, bad, and indifferent, these things definitely played a huge role in my fundamental years and in my adult life. But I think if they weren't a huge part of it, I would still be doing this to some capacity. I personally feel that I would still be doing this and I would still be me, but I would be channeling those passions and that drive probably in something a little bit less raw. I would think that my perception on things probably wouldn't be so deep. So I'd probably be making more cornball songs, and I'd be happy with it, I would think, in theory, but it just wouldn't be as raw as some of this stuff is. And in theory, I guess that would probably be better for my psyche, but I don't know. I like what I do now. It's honest. People know that they resonate with it. So I don't know if I'd have it any other way, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it would still be there in some capacity. Actually, now that I really think about it, there's a good chance that I would be playing in a touring metal band if my substance abuse problems didn't get as bad as it was, because I probably would have dedicated a lot more time into making that a reality instead of just sitting back and refocusing some of my expectations. I think I probably would have pursued some of that differently and been more aggressive in my pursuits with it. Her second question is, where did the desire to express your emotion actually derive from? Well, I've always had like a very emotional response to music. It's been very clear, even since I was younger. I would complain to my mom about certain songs because they would make me feel certain ways. And I didn't understand what those feelings were, but I could understand that it was making me feel something. And I think once I became aware that I was able to do that same thing, write music and put something real into it, when I kept hearing examples of that, and then I kept hearing examples that didn't embody that. Once I wrote a few songs that resonated with people, putting that emotion in there, I knew that it was like, this is it. I know what I'm doing is right. You know, it's right for me. It's right for people. I can see it. This is the type of music I like. So this is the type of music I want to put out there. So yeah, I think that that's where that desire came from, is just seeing that it was like, this works. It's real. It's as real as I can be. It's as emotionally open and vulnerable as I can be. This might sound weird to hear, and some of you may disagree with it, but I don't think that that's in art anymore. And yes, there are examples of people going out there creating something that's very real, emotionally driven in many different genres, but a lot of it is fluff. A lot of it is bullshit. Yeah, I don't think we need more of that. I think I'd rather die expressing something that I feel is genuine than just creating something because that's what's popular at the time, or putting money motives into it or something else. It just doesn't make sense. It does make sense to put my heart on my sleeve and to show that human trait and try to connect with other people. That's the human experience, you know, going about making a band, or, you know, I don't know, working on in-synced choreography really isn't like, you know what I'm saying? It's not the same thing. And I hope that answers your question. I've got one last question here. I got to dig for it really quick. It's on, I got it from my friend Pat on Instagram. We've been talking for a while now, for a few years actually, because I think him and I share some relatable qualities and kind of the same mindset on some of this stuff. But we've been talking over the past couple of years and more recently over the past couple of weeks about just social media. And he sent me a question that goes, as time goes on and you get older as an artist and social media becomes more and more invasive and judgmental, does it ever get harder for you to be vulnerable in your music and put yourself out there? And does it ever affect your process? Because it definitely affects mine. How do you process that? Now, I've talked about being vulnerable with the subject matter of the music in a previous podcast, but, you know, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there with how social media is something different. The psychological effects of social media is very interesting, to say the least. And it does mess with you. It does mess with it messes with your ego. It messes with your perception. It messes with your ability to accept how other people perceive you. It just messes with a whole bunch of stuff, and it can definitely affect your judgment, which that's what Pat's talking about, because he has this love-hate relationship. Like, he wants to put music out in the world for many reasons, but he just hates social media. And, you know, he struggles like myself with interacting with people, and it's just a struggle. And the more that he sees social media becoming this thing, it's just more of a problem, you know? And honestly, it's weird because I come from an older generation, and I was into computers and into the internet and social networking before it was popular. And did it for a long time and started to see how ridiculous it was and kind of fell away from it over the years. And I used to use the internet back in the day a lot for promoting. And I feel like I use it in this day and age for interacting and documenting. The influence of numbers, the number game, the influence of people's clout, all these things are real. Venues, labels, people, everyone looks at this stuff and everyone has their own level of importance that they put on it. And I'm aware of that, but I'm also aware that like none of this stuff matters. And like, if you're going to work with somebody or, if your audience only perceives you as something because of your clout on social networking, I've kind of come to the determination that that's really pathetic in many ways. It's fine and it's great. Like I'm blessed to have my 6 fans. I really am. I'm blessed. As much as I joke about that, like I'm really blessed to have the people that I do, and my little foot on social networking, my little footprint, it's very, very small. And I'm more than okay with that. Of course, it would always be great to want more interaction, find more people that can connect with the music. Dare I say, maybe even sell more, those things are always positive, but they're not why I do this. So in the past, I've had social media and money and just these unnecessary things cloud my vision and really impact my actions. And over the past couple of years, you can see, my fans see that I still struggle and I still utilize these things, but my acceptance of people's interaction and my acceptance of its quote unquote importance, it just went out the window. Like, I'm going to do this even if no one's watching. Like, I'm going to do this if 1 billion people watch. I'm going to do this if I have 1 follower or 10,000 followers. It doesn't matter. Like, because those numbers to me over time and that interaction in that world, it just doesn't hold importance. And even when it's there, it can go away. It's just all fleeting. It's not real. You know what I'm saying? So that stuff, I try not to let it bother me. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I see people all the time who, have very huge followings online. They have as many views on their videos as that cat playing the piano video on YouTube. And they should be really proud of that. Their viral videos are really something to be proud of. I say that jokingly. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but as good as that is for them, I'm happy for those people, and that's great. But in some ways, like, I don't envy those problems. I don't want those problems. In some ways, I like having the ability to do what I need to do. I don't like having to be pigeonholed to serve an audience or have to do certain things, like run a YouTube channel and be afraid of losing followers, so you have to change your content. Things like that. Curb what you're saying online to be able to not offend people. Things like that. Like, it just, I don't know. People are people. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. It's better to be honest at the end of the day. At least people can like appreciate that, I'm probably rambling on this way too much, but what I would say is, don't let that shit bother you. Do what you do, and do it in a way where you're not dependent on the involvement of others. And if that support comes, be grateful for it. Don't take advantage of it and be happy. You know what I mean? Don't be like those douches who don't comment on people's stuff. Like, talk to your audience, make friends, make lasting relationships. Like, this shit is important. It's important to them. And in some ways, if you're real to yourself, I think that connection can be important to you too, and not just for your pocketbook. But honestly, I would just like try to just completely separate yourself from it. Maybe even taking that thing to heart that I said about looking at the internet as not like a promotional tool, but like a documentation tool. Like, go out and live your life. Do what you need to do. Put the stuff on there that you want to show. Get out there when you can. I would say, you're going to deal with the white noise and hurdles like everybody else, because I know you, Pat, and I know you're not going to dump a whole bunch of money into online marketing, just like I'm not. Like, we don't come from that world, and it's just ridiculous. So, like, don't do that. And be humble with what you have. Work with what you got. Be happy. And between you, me, and my 6 listeners, I think you should keep putting music out there, and you should challenge yourself. It's only good. And if you get a bunch of people talking shit about it and it's not good, that's also good too, you know? I just looked up and I've almost been talking for 2 hours. I need to go mow the lawn and start working on stuff before my body gets tired today. What did we talk about today? We talked about gardening. We talked about money and how much it sucks. We talked about my hand. We talked about the studio, selling a Dexter collection, talked about moral oral, and next week's guest, David Tuber. Oh, guys, you're going to love this. Seriously. I've got a bunch of interviews in the can, and I'm excited about all of them, but this one's at the top. I can't wait to talk to you guys about this. I hope I answered all your questions. Give me some of those follow-ups, people. I want to know about that relationship stuff. I hope you guys are doing okay. Get out there. Send me an email. Again, that's the Tell Me Something Great podcast at gmail.com. Hopefully we can talk on the next episode. I'm going to go mow the lawn and then work on music and maybe stretch, and I'm going to eat lunch soon, and I don't know what else. I think that's all the questions for this week. I'm double checking. I could have swore I had a couple more, but you know, let me double check the email. I should say that you guys were really nice about the birds chirping in episode 1. I thought that was going to be bad, but everyone really seemed to like that. And for people who knew me and understood why I was in the van, I got a couple smiley faces from that, so I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. Do you like this mic better? You like me talking in the studio? I like it a lot better, too. I think this KSM is great for talkback. My buddy Edwin said that the Zoom condenser recorder was hot, and it definitely is. That's a great field recorder, but yeah, if I scratch my face. Can you even hear that on here? On the condenser, it'd be like just crazy loud. Sorry for blowing out your ears. Yep, that's all the questions. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Tell Me Something Great podcast, episode 5. Thanks as always for listening. Go out and do something great today. Send me a message and let me know what that great thing is. Again, next week's guest is David Tuber. You might know him from his work on the Lego movies, Robot Chicken, Moral Oral, and about 1 billion other awesome movies and shows. So make sure to tune in next week. Thanks as always for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I don't know what else to say other than I'm going to go refill my coffee and make the most of this day. So as always, guys, thank you for the support. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. Just do it right now. Just go right ahead and just smash that. Hit that like button. Maybe in 10 years from now, since I don't promote my YouTube page, I'll be able to make money off of it. I'm just kidding. All right, I'm out. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening.
That's great.